There was an Amazon doc that came out recently about it that kind of like painted me in a bad light because there was video of me going to the frat house where one of the victims was in the fraternity, you know, Entin Chapin. And they somehow had video of me like going to the frat house, trying to talk to them. And it was a kind of a tricky situation because it's like.
But you have, I do want to get to it. You have been covering this Kohberger thing. Speaking of, you know, having to knock on doors and stuff, you've been covering that since, I guess, 2022 when this happened.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Right after it happened.
You know, I did a podcast with Joseph in July, right? It came out like the day of the sentencing. We recorded it right before. And so there's at least like, we know what the outcome is. And Brian Kohberger pleaded guilty, admitted that he did this, though he did not speak in court. And at the end of the day, you know, one of the most brutal murder scenes that anyone had ever seen is what was at the middle of this. And 4, you know, sub 20-year-old kids were cut down long before their prime. You know, were you there? Was this another one where you were like on the scene like the next day or that day or?
No, not that soon. It was probably maybe 10 days, something like that. I was still one of the first national reporters that hadn't really gotten full coverage yet. I don't know why. It was kind of like slow to roll out at first. But I was actually on vacation in Mexico, and one of the producers I work with was like, "Oh my God, did you see what happened in Idaho?" And so I ended up flying right from Mexico to Idaho. So I think I was there like a week after, maybe a little less.
So were you there when?
It might have been less, actually. It might have been like 5-6 days after.
Yeah, you don't feel like a 10, 11.
Yeah, no, I think it was sooner.
Were you there when the police were starting to do their press conferences, I guess, to try to update the public on
Yes, but the problem was they only did like one, and then they didn't talk. They didn't talk at all in the beginning. So that was kind of one of those things that just led to the fire of, you know, speculation and thinking that, you know, different people were responsible, and they were very, very quiet for the first like first 3 weeks. I think there was only like one press conference.
What was your first thought on this case when you looked at it?
Like serial killer type deal. Like, I mean, just, you know, it was scary back then because when I got there, you know, no one knew anything about who did it. We didn't know if it was a small college town. We didn't know if it was someone in town. We didn't know if the person was a neighbor, was walking around when we were doing our live shots outside. I mean, there was just something especially eerie and freaky about that whole situation in the beginning. Even I remember like, and I've never done this, there was like a Fairfield in there. That's where I would always stay. And that was another one I stayed for like 6 weeks. When I got there, I never left. But I remember my room was on the first floor at first, and like I would never think like this, but I remember like I moved to the second floor because I was just like, this is like creepy here right now. Like even just wondering like, is the killer watching you when you're out doing your live shot? You know what I mean?
Yes. It's a little bit, obviously totally different setting here, but I always think about the first season of True Detective and how like the Louisiana, you know, backcountry was a character, the setting itself, because it was just so eerie. Like, what is the needle in the middle of this haystack? And, you know, you're out there in Idaho, it's in the mountains, it's a college campus and then a quiet area, and there's some needle in the middle of this haystack, allegedly, where someone's just like a brutal, grisly killer. It's not like New York, where unfortunately there's a murder every day.
Yeah.
You know, and there's fucking 9 million people just on that one island.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little bit of a different feel.
It's interesting, like just coming off the Charlie Kirk thing, there's something kind of similar. Like in Utah, there's this vibe there that like things like that don't happen there, and that like the people there aren't like really prepared for it. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, and they're really nice in that part of Utah. I mean, it's mostly Mormon. And you just, I don't know, like, even like on the campus showing up, like they didn't like kick you off right away. They're nice to the media. It's kind of the same in Idaho. Like they're just, you got this sense right away, like things like this don't happen here.
Yeah.
And like, they're not really like ready for this.
Did you know, it's also like kids all in the middle of it. Cause like all the witnesses or, you know, people who were the first ones there at the scene and stuff are literally college kids.
Yeah.
Just trying to have a good time and then coming upon something, you know, absolutely crazy. Like, how hard is it trying to get sources when you know you're going to very, very shattered and righteously scared, very young adults, if you will.
Yeah, it's hard. There was an Amazon doc that came out recently about it that kind of like painted me in a bad light because there was video of me going to the frat house where one of the victims was in the fraternity, Ethan Chapin. And they somehow had video of me like going to the frat house, trying to talk to them. And it was a kind of a tricky situation because it's like these kids have been victimized and here suddenly got these reporters showing up and how far do you know what I mean? Like they're kids still young. And it was tricky sort of navigating that. And it was kind of like with Gabby Petito, the attention level was so high. People were so into it. People wanted every little detail. You had people like people on social media not doing the right thing and reporting all just for clicks.
Yeah.
And there were decisions you had to make on the spot, like we were talking about with Gabby. I mean, I remember being outside the murder house in Idaho. This is probably a few weeks after, and everybody was into these frat brothers, like thinking, that maybe they had something to do with it, because Ethan was I don't know why, but there was just a lot of attention on the frats. And there was like a frat party happening one night while I was out there. And I remember it was loud. And I had this, like, if I had reported that or shown video of that, it would have gone crazy. Like they're having a party after you know what I mean? But people were forgetting that they were just college kids at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like couple weeks had gone by, they were grieving in their own way. Like they had music on. Like when you were there, you're like, this doesn't mean they did it. But you know what I mean? You had to. So I never reported that, or I never showed the video because it was like I just knew like people are going to take advantage of this and make it seem like, oh, these kids, they must be involved.
Of course. I think that was a smart move on your part just because of what the microscope was on it.
Yeah.
But I can't even comprehend being in that situation, but I fully understand that, once you're 5-6 days out of that and it's still scary, you want some normalcy,
of course,
to your life. And by the way, you feel a little more safe when you're in a large group of people.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right.
You're also in college. Like I think back to you're not like you're not thinking like an adult of how they would handle something.
Yeah. What was the one? It's so bad. I can't remember her name. The one there were two other girls in the house who were not killed.
Oh yeah. You're right. Dylan and Bethany.
Right. Yeah. So Dylan, what they did to that girl.
Oh my God.
On social media.
Don't even get me started. They still do. It's insane. Still. There are all sorts of conspiracy theories and theories about her, and she's just been like through hell. I mean, that girl is I don't know if you saw her at the sentencing.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, she showed up, she spoke, and she is like beyond strong.
Yes.
And people still won't leave her alone.
And she was at that, righteously so, at that sentencing hearing, distraught beyond belief. And this is 3 years later.
Yeah. Can you imagine what it was?
No.
I mean, imagine she'll never be the same.
You don't, you're a little tipsy. It's late at night.
Yeah.
It's a dark house. You don't know what's going on. You're a little frozen. You go back into your room or you go to the basement with your friend. Like, I don't understand why that was so hard for people to understand.
I think it just goes back to what we said. Like, there's always going to be people who, no matter what, that's what I tell people that I do stories with. And they're like, I read the comments and I saw, it's like, there's always going to be, no matter what, you could do the most incredible thing in the world. And there's going to be a group of people that come out to say the opposite and say you're bad. It's
how it is.
Yeah.
And but that's, you and I choose to be on the internet and choose to do this for a living. Like, if you're not okay with that, you're in the wrong game.
Yeah.
It is, I have a lot of empathy for it when it's someone who gets, through no fault of their own, caught in the middle of being at this crazy story, and then they have to be put through that.
Yeah.
Especially when they're a kid.
It's terrible.
And people question every little thing you do. It's like, obviously she didn't have anything to do with it, but you don't know how you would handle that in that situation. Your mind is not 100% there, and you get scared. And the next day, like, I remember, I think I did see the Amazon doc. There were two that came out. I'm pretty sure I saw the Amazon one, but like, that was the James Patterson one?
Yeah.
Right. So, they're describing, some of the other friends are describing the next morning when they're outside the house before, I guess one of the friends had gone in to find the bodies. And she's just like, Dylan was just delirious. Like, what the fuck? I know something bad happened. I don't know why this is so hard for people to put that together.
No.
You
And
know?
also, like, it's over. Like, Brian Kohberger pled guilty. His DNA was on the knife sheath. His car was his surveillance video got his car coming and going. The cell phone tracking got, like, there's no, I think it just becomes, again, almost like a board game for people. Like, they just want to keep playing the game.
Yeah.
You know?
No, they didn't catch him though for what, like 6 weeks after that?
Yeah,
6,
no,
7
longer.
weeks?
Yeah.
8 weeks?
Yeah, it was December. Yeah, it was like almost 2 months.
And they're killed on like November 13th?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yep.
So you're on the scene while this is in limbo.
Yeah.
And he's not caught.
Yep.
I can't remember. Did they have other suspects or anything or
Nothing.
any information?
Nothing. It was that's what kind of was fueling all of this. Like, there was no information coming out. Police weren't talking. We were really hard on the police because at the time we just thought they knew nothing. So after a while, we're just like, what is wrong with these? You know, we were being hard on them, even on TV. The families were being hard on them. And there was no rumbling of anything. Then they finally released a photo of the white Hyundai Elantra, which we later knew belonged to Khoberger. So that was the first real, like, piece of something we had to go with as, you know, reporters. We were putting the picture out. You know, people were talking to us. Oh, I know someone in a lot. Like, that was the first, like, clue we really had from police. But then it was still quiet for a while after that.
Were you in touch with the victims' families during that time?
Yes. Yep.
What was that like?
It was sad. I mean, it was awful, as you can imagine, and not only awful because they were killed, but because they were scared that this person was still out there.
Yeah.
Especially the Gonzalez family, I became pretty close to, and I remember I went to their house a couple times. They lived in Coeur d'Alene, which is like 2.5 hours away. So I would drive out to their house to talk to them, and just going in there, it was like they were all like held up in there as a family, like you know what I mean? Like, just really on edge. And with them, you know, they were grieving their daughter, but they had kind of transferred all of those emotions into like focusing on like what happened, and just like, it was almost like a little nerve center in there. They're all on their computer. You know what I mean? They were trying to solve it themselves. And yeah, it was an awful time.
Thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.